Hello, welcome. This is a tutorial about the A3ES platform. In this video, you'll be shown how to access the online system A3ES uses to manage files from programs that are being or have been assessed. If after watching this video, you are unable to access the files you need, please feel free to contact your project coordinator. Please note this video is a little bit long, but if you just have a specific question, you may skip to a certain section of the video that is relevant to you. To do that, just hit the more detail button under the YouTube video, and you'll see in blue a series of timestamps with the description of what is being discussed at that time. You can just click on one of those, and the video will skip ahead to that part. Okay. If this, however, is your first time handling your system, I do recommend you watch the whole video. Thank you. So to begin, please go to the A3ES website, which can be found at www.a3es.pt. And on that website, once you arrive to the landing page, we do need to enter some sub pages to find the link to the online platform. So to do so, proceed to this last option on the menu bar, which stands for accreditation and auditing. And then you will be prompted with a menu to the left, which has a series of options, one of which is the information system from A3ES. So if you click there, you'll be prompted yet to another page, which contains a link. And this is the link that you want that will give you access to the A3ES platform. So let's go there. Okay, so this is what you'll see once you click that link. At this point in time, you need two pieces of information to enter the system. You need a username that would be entered here, and then you need a password that will be entered in the other text box. Your username and password were first provided to you when you first started collaborating with the agency. If you do not recall your username, you will need to contact your project coordinator. We can fairly easily track that down. If, however, you have your username but do not have your password, then there is a way in which through which you can recover it. So, for example, I'm going to demonstrate that here with my own username. So just enter your username, leave your password blank, and click enter. And then the next page, you see another link which says recovery of access data. So if you click that, you will be forwarded to another page, which is requesting an email address. So this email address should be the email address that you used when you first started working with the agency. So every evaluator is registered in our database with a specific email address. So enter that email address, and then what will happen is the system will email you, the system will email you a new password, which will just be a series of random letters and numbers, and you can change after the fact. I will teach you how. So after you enter your address, click the green check mark, and you'll be sent some information, basically a new password, so that you can enter the system. Okay. So assuming that you are all set, that you have your username and your password, you are now ready to enter the system. So let's do that. At this point, we are going to enter our online platform. Please note that the URL that you will see here at the top is different than the one that you will see, and that is because I'm doing this tutorial on the testing server. So that means that all the information that you'll see from this point on are just placeholders. So this is just made up information that we use to test the system. I'm going to enter some credentials, and here we go. So this is what the landing page of the platform will look like in general. Obviously, depending on whether you have more or less programs under assessment, you'll have more or less rows. So the various processes that you'll be handling are organized by rows. Each row corresponds to a single process. Um, so let me just orient you on this page. So at the bottom, you will see the page navigator. So some of you that have been with us for a while have probably multiple pages. So in this user, we just have one. So you would be able to navigate using these buttons. And here on the right side, you see how many processes or how many programs this person has under assessment. So they have 16 uh, programs altogether. On the top right side, we have the exit button. We have a little address book which contains the personal information of the user. So it has the name of the user, the associated email address. And then here is where you would change your password. I strongly recommend that you do this. So you just have to enter your current password and then change to another one. So just choose something that you will easily remember. I don't recommend changing anything else. So now let's focus on the columns. Each column pertains to a specific piece of information regarding each program under assessment. Some key ones include the process number, or so it gives you a few letters that describe the type of assessment underway. So ASEF pertains to study programs that are already underway. So these are programs that already have students that are already running and that are assessed periodically every 6 years. There's the year which the assessment was submitted. So this was submitted in 2017, 2018. And then there's a unique numerical code associated with this. So whenever your project coordinator contacts you, they usually use this code to refer to the program that they are discussing with you. We have the information of the higher education institution. We call this the organic unit. It's basically either the college or the department under which the program is housed, the name of the study program, and then the type of degree. So whether it's an undergraduate degree, so first cycle, in Portuguese, licenciado, or a second cycle or master's degree, mestre, and third cycle or doctoral degree or doutor. This column pertains to the status of the assessment. So there's several possible options here. And so this helps you to see the status of your program, but it also helps us. So we handle, more than 100 programs, more than 100 files. And so this helps us get a general overview of the state in which they are at. This column here indicates who can or who is interacting with the file at that time. So who can do something. So CAE is an important acronym. It's the Comissão de Avaliação Externa, or in English, External Assessment Team. So this is the committee of which you are a member. And then these are possible things that can be done with the file at the time and whether that particular process has been paid. So whether that particular study program, that assessment has been paid by the higher education institution. Okay. So a lot of information here. But we are going to focus on the practical things that are essential that you are aware of to be able to navigate the system. So first, we're going to go into one of these. So you can click on any row and that will give you further information on that particular assessment. So on that particular program. So let's go in this first one. Okay. Now, please note, this has all been completed with just random or fake information. It's just for us to test and for me to demonstrate this to you. So all the pages of further information for any program will look very similar. There will be a first panel with some general descriptors, including name of the institution again, the type of degree, series of things. And then on the right side, it will give you the name of your project coordinator. So this will be very useful because if there's something that you have questions about or that an additional piece of information that you need, this person here is the person that you want to contact. And then right below that, you see the composition of the external assessment team. So you see the president and then the various members. And so your external assessment team may have anywhere from 2 to 5 or 6 members. So this is quite variable. And again, these are the colleagues that you will be working with on the assessment that you are in. Now, the second panel and the third panels are peculiar because you are able to navigate them. So there's usually more than one page of information within the panel. And you can see that here. So here we are in page 1 of 2, and this is page 2 of 2. Okay. This is going to be particularly relevant in the bottom panel, which contains the forms. So this is where you can find documents submitted by the institution that are going to be the main focus of the assessment, okay? So this second panel is the history, or histórico. It's basically everything that has been done to this particular study program since we received it for assessment. So this will tell you when the project coordinator was nominated, when we started analyzing the proposal. So a series of steps. So this is nice if you just want to see the timing of the different events. For your purposes as an evaluator, this panel, the third one, the one that says formulários or forms, is the important one. Again, don't forget that you can navigate it. And so if you go to the very beginning, and you can see the beginning based on the date, you will see here an entry which is Guião para a auto-avaliação. So this is the self-assessment report. And this is where all the information that was submitted by the institution is found. So this is their report, and this is what you will have as a major piece of information. So let's go in and take a look at that. So this is what the landing page of the self-assessment report looks like. There's a navigation bar on the left side. All of these boxes are expandable. So you have to go into the very lower level of organization to actually see the information. So it doesn't matter where you click, you can just open these boxes and then you'll see the information. Okay, this one again is empty because we just have it here for demonstration purposes. Here on the right-hand side, you see some instructions for completion. So this tells you what is expected of the institution in terms of information provided. And so I do have a couple of recommendations here. So all of these boxes need to be expanded so that you can see all of the information, and it's a little bit cumbersome to come in and click everything. So an alternative to this is to just hit the print button. If you hit the print button, two things will happen. One, you are able to save the entire self-assessment report as a PDF. And I strongly recommend you do that. And so that will allow you to have access to all the information much more easily. The other thing is if you don't want to save it as a PDF, you can still read everything in the browser window. So just cancel the printing button. And now you have everything on the report here in a single page, which again is much more user-friendly to digest. Now, let's say that you have read the entirety of the self-assessment report, but there are questions. You have a question of something, and it's something that you really must know in order to do your assessment. The president of each external assessment team has the ability to ask for more information of the higher ed institution. And the way they do that is by clicking this Ask for More Information button. So this button allows the president of the external assessment team to basically send a message with an information request. So I'm going to click it just for demonstration. So you would write question 2, and then you would write whatever information it is that you need to know, and then just click send. And then we ask you, are you sure you intend to submit this request? Yes. And that will go and be sent. Now, this does not go directly to the higher education institution. So it is the job of the project coordinator to serve as the bridge of communication between the external assessment team and the higher education institution. And so all of these information requests go to the project coordinator, who then forwards them to the higher education institution. We don't edit them or anything. So we just literally forward them to the institution. And this is, again, part of the design of the platform. All of the information requests that can be found here in the last panel, and these are accessible by all members of the external assessment team. So anyone can come here, double click on it, and they will see what has been requested. Okay, so let's say that at this point in time, you have read the self-assessment reports and you are ready to start working on your preliminary report. Okay, so this is the report that the external assessment team will do after they have evaluated the self-assessment report. So to do that, you would click here on this button, which says elaborate or turn in the preliminary report. You click on this. So we come to a layout that is very similar to that of the report submitted by the institution. So again, we have our navigation boxes to the left, and you do have to go in the various categories to be able to get to the actual questions. But the difference is now the questions are for you, the evaluator, okay? We have again on the right-hand side some details of what is expected from the evaluator. So basically these are some tips. Most of the questions are self-explanatory. Some of them have to do again with legal requirements. Some have to do with scientific or academic requirements. But from a practical standpoint, what I want to focus on is this. You can only change and enter any information in the report if you click the edit button. Unless you click this button, you won't be able to enter any information. Okay, so I've clicked the button and now I can enter information here. Okay. So all members of the external assessment team have access to the preliminary report. It is not recommended that two people are working in the same section at the same time, because then someone's information is going to be lost. And again, we strongly recommend that after you type something important, you save it, okay? And so after you do that, you should be able to see, here we go, the information that was entered. So again, to enter information, you do have to edit. In this display, you also have the ability to put the language in English or Portuguese. Right now, I just left it in English, but I can switch and just do it in Portuguese. So if you click both buttons, you'll see both pieces of information. Okay. And you don't have to complete the whole report at once. So if you save it, you can leave, and then you can come back in at another day. And where will you find this report? You will find it under forms. So you would go back here to forms, and that report will be basically the most recent thing that you have done, which here it is. It says preliminary report of the external assessment team. So you can come here, double click on it, and voila, here it is. Another important thing, we as the project coordinators, we do not see what you are writing. So sometimes the evaluators will ask us for input on a certain section. We as project coordinators do not see what you are writing unless you submit the report. So while you're still editing it, we cannot see it. So if you want us to check something, you'll have to actually send that information to us in a Word document or a PDF, because we do not have access to this interface. So at the end, say you're done with the report, you're going to validate. And so this will check for errors. This report is probably full of errors because I didn't fill anything in. So let's see. Exactly. So 41 errors. It tells you all the fields that have to be completed. So some fields, some text boxes are optional, but some, as you can see, are mandatory. And so you would only be able to submit once you've dealt, once you've dealt with all of these errors. Okay. And so assuming you've dealt with all the errors, you then hit deliver. So again, this is something I recommend only the president of the external assessment team do. And once you deliver, then we, as the project coordinator, would receive a notification saying the preliminary report is done, is submitted. At this point, we've seen how to access the online platform. We've seen how to access and navigate the self-assessment report, which is the one submitted by the institution under assessment. And we've also seen how to produce and submit a preliminary report, which is the report done by the external assessment team, of which you are a hypothetical member. At this point, the last thing I want to discuss is how to produce a final report. To do that, I'm going to use this particular program as an example. So again, this is all fictitious information. And the final report is something that the external assessment team needs to actually produce when the institution under assessment has submitted what is called an institutional response. In Portuguese, we call that pronúncia. So let's go to the form panel, which is here. We see here the preliminary report submitted by the external assessment team, and then we see this entry, which in English would appear as institutional response. If we double click that, we can see that the institution submitted something. So what is this? This is the opportunity for the institution to basically manifest their usually disagreement with something that the external assessment team has said or commented in their preliminary report. Okay, so it's an opportunity to refute any criticisms or to present more information in face of some criticisms that were appointed or that were presented by the external assessment team. Okay, so that is what the institutional response is. And so here, of course, this one is empty because it's just for demonstration purposes. Now, the point is, if the institution does decide to present a response, then it is expected that the external assessment team read that response and then incorporate it in a final report. Okay? And so that is what we are going to do now. Okay? To produce a final report, there is a button right here, which I am hovering right now. And so it says elaborate the acronym for the type of report we're doing, final. So to do that, the president would click that, and that would generate a final report. Now, what is the final report? The final report is an exact copy of the preliminary report. Okay, so it's already pre-filled for you. So you don't have to write everything over again. It is already completed. As you can see here, there are already comments and options chosen. But there's a specific section in which the external assessment team is expected to comment on the institution response. So here we go. Point 11, the number, it can vary depending on which type of report we're talking about, but it's usually called final observations. And so it says final remarks, and then it will say in English, assessment of the response of the institution, if applicable. Because again, if applicable, because the institution may agree with everything the external assessment team says, so they don't need to present a response. And then in Portuguese, apreciação da pronúncia da instituição, quando aplicável. So in this box, don't forget, if you want to write something, you would have to hit edit. So we hit edit, and here we would write things. Okay. And then don't forget, when you're done writing, you would save. And so now we've added this to the final report, and then we would have the conclusions. Now, mind you, there are two options in terms of outcome. One, the information presented by the institution in the response does not change the conclusion of the external assessment team, okay? So they present more information, but this basically does not change your assessment of their program. Your opinion remains the same, your evaluation remains the same. And so in that case, you don't need to change anything in your final recommendation. However, if they present information that you find is pertinent and relevant and that does in fact change your assessment of the program, then you are perfectly allowed and expected to change your final recommendation. So this obviously is going to be on a case per case basis. But the point is you have the opportunity to then change your final conclusions and even your appreciation of the study program, your assessment of the study program. And so that would be how the institutional response would affect the production of a final report. We would then go through the same motions as with the preliminary report, meaning we would validate it, and then once it's validated, you would submit it, okay? Now, if the institution does not present a response, okay, so if they agree with everything that the external assessment team says, then your preliminary report automatically becomes the final report. And you, as an external assessment team member, do not need to do anything, okay? And so again, I don't expect you to remember all of these options, but they will become obvious once you are in the system and handling the system. And of course, your project coordinator is available to help you at every step of the way. So that is it for the final report. In this brief tutorial, we went through how to log in the platform and how to recover your password. We basically did a general walkthrough of the layout of the platform. We did a general walkthrough of self-assessment reports in the platform and how to navigate using the various boxes and how to access the information. We then saw how to generate a preliminary report, which is the report that the external assessment team builds. We saw how to ask for more information. And then we just did also a general overview of the final report and just its layout and how similar it is to the preliminary report. A few more things I would like to say before finishing. Whenever you read a self-assessment report, there are a few external web links that the institutions are required to provide. If you are reading the report in a PDF, those links will only work if you are logged into our platform, okay? So if you just try to read the PDF by itself and you are not logged in our platform, the links will not work. So you have to be in here to do that. Second, please do not forget to save any changes that you do to the reports online, because we have no way of recovering those. If you spend several hours entering all the information in the report and then your computer crashes, we cannot recover usually any of that. So please, please make sure that you're saving everything in that save button. In this option that I suggest that you do, which is to print or save as a PDF the institution's self-assessment report, this is pretty handy with the exception of one thing. There's one piece of information that doesn't get included in that PDF. And those are what we call the curricular sheets of the faculty. They're basically CVs. So they're the curriculum vitae of the faculty. So here's an example of one. So self-evaluation of the study program, name of the teacher, and then teacher's curricular file. To see these, you actually have to come here and click. And you have to do this, and then you see all of the information. So academic titles, scientific activities, etc. You have to do this for every faculty. There's no way of getting all of these out in bulk, at least not right now. So this is the only thing that won't come out in that massive PDF if you choose to approach it that way. And we usually do need to read these, because one of the things that the external assessment team has to evaluate and discuss is whether the faculty have the right qualifications to be teaching certain courses and certain degrees, etc. So that is it. These are basically the key skills that you need, or key pieces of information that you need to navigate this platform successfully. And again, I do want to emphasize we are available to help you with anything that you need. So feel free to contact your project coordinator. And that is it. I hope this video was helpful, and thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye.